as I was walking here. I hope I'll recover my seconds. As my learned brother has indicated, I'll be going through briefly what happened at Anniversary Towers. Just to add that, my lady, we have already seen the gaps from what my brother, Mr. Njomo, has said. The breaches, the illegalities, and the gaps that were there in the collection, the tallying of the numbers. My lady, what we have been told by the first and second respondents, as you will see it happening even as we went to Anniversary Towers, is the attitude of get over it, it's over. Because, my lady, and as has been ably submitted by my learned senior Mr. Mugor, when he was talking about what happened at Anniversary Towers, we were denied access to the server. Our agents were denied access to the server. My lady, and honorable members of the court, when you retire, you will see at page 8 of the report, item number 4, that they said the best they could do was to give us a clone image of the server. When we said, let's proceed, or when our agent said, let's proceed, it became clear that to generate a forensic image, there was the requirement for the development of what is called a forensic image hash. My ladies, honorable members of the court, it was then asked for the IEBC because they wanted to give us this clone to generate the hash. What did they say? They said, oh no, the judiciary should generate the hash. Yet, it is the system that they are calling upon us and Kenyans to believe they were in control of. They have no idea how to generate those things, and if they do, they want to take zero responsibility for that job. And that is why, contrary to the requirements of the Constitution, the IEBC abrogated their duty to conduct the IT component of the election and gave it entirely to Smartmatic. And that is why Smartmatic wrote a letter further to the directions of this court, that letter was served upon our firm yesterday. And the letter is dated 31st August. On the right, and this letter should be before this court because it is addressed to the registrar. So I expect Judge, honorable members of this court, that it's before you. Clearly, it shows it is from Amsterdam. And it says that they will not give us access to the servers because it infringes on their intellectual property. What Mr. Macharia called today, the question of what happens to our data? We cannot even verify the election, contrary to the requirements of the Constitution that it should be verifiable. When the Honorable Court gives orders for scrutiny, Smartmatic says they cannot give us that access. We have set it out. It's set out in the report that has been placed before this court, and the letter is there to confirm. What they then go ahead and do is to amend the orders of this court. And my ladies will see when you read that letter that they say that instead, they would like to recommend that the IEBC makes available, and they say the documents that they want IEBC to give us, including some system logs, which, as Mr. Murgor has indicated, not all those system logs were provided anyway. And the ones that were provided, we saw who had access. Our agents did indicate that when we asked, because this becomes very important on the question of access, and that's why the logs become important as well, when we asked, as the court had directed in its ruling, order number 1, that we get a password policy, they said no, it will infringe on the security. And that becomes extremely important in terms of knowing who had access to those servers, in terms of confirming the the code or the policy on change of passwords. They refused to give that information. Again, IEBC refused to give us information with respect to the RTS, Results Transformation Systems. Yet they want us to come here and believe what they're telling us with regards to the contents of the portal. Yet in their own Gazette notices, as you will find, there were some points where there was human intervention, and that is why they are unable to explain to this court, which we asked them to do and they were unable to do, to explain how the JPEG photos, my ladies, 2 more minutes? Thank you. They are unable to explain how an image is taken but ends up on the server as a PDF. In their own Gazette notice of 3rd August, which is part of our evidence, the petitioner in 002, they said that in some certain areas, returning officers will be allowed to take photos using their phones and transmit the same to the tallying center. So how then is it that all the photos on the portal are in PDF, and yet they refused, they declined and dishonored this court's order to give us information on the results transmission system? My ladies, my lords, will find when you look at the report that has been submitted, page 11, the judiciary report, that they refused to comply with orders number 1, they refused to comply with orders number 4, they partly complied with order number 3 and number 4. Honorable members of this court, the ICT scrutiny was anchored on those 4 orders. They therefore failed to comply. They refused to open the server. Smartmatic wrote, and to the best of what they could tell us, in addition to amending the judgment, they also say at the very end that even citizens all over the world had full access of these tally reports and were able to add the results, telling Kenyans, we have no additional claim of that information. We can tally like everybody else. It is our humble submission that IEBC abrogated their duty. IEBC was not in charge in terms of the technical component, and that is why my brother Willis said they played picky, ponky eventually to determine who won the election. Kenya's electoral processes run outside Kenya. We humbly submit that there was non-compliance. We humbly submit IEBC failed the test. Kindly allow our petition.